Alright, sorry. Had some technical difficulties. But good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guess. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, we'll get into the, shooter in Idaho, I think it was. We'll get into why certain people think that Marvel hates black characters, and I'll probably talk a lot in that one. RFK's brutal takedown of Dana Bash. We'll get into that. Apparently, Halo. What's it? Combat, not Combat Evolved. Campaign Evolved, which is this, I guess, a decent new name, whatever. But apparently, they're not giving refunds, so we'll get into that. And then, of course, chat request. And then I know everyone's tired of hearing about Hassan, but we might get into a little Hassan goodness at the end here. And by goodness, I mean abortion. But let's get into it.
He wasn't actually. You want ever? I think that we ever conducted was I'm pro Second Amendment. I'm pro gun. Change my mind.
Yeah.
It's one of the single biggest winning issues for the right. If you look at recent political history, and the single biggest losing issue for the left. So when that happens, what they have to do, because they are beholden to...
And this is for one of many reasons. Let's face it, people on the left will always claim that the people in the center and the right, or people who are pro-gun, don't care about dead kids, which is retarded. Because it's not that they don't care about dead kids, they just don't want the law-abiding citizens to not have guns. And they have other options, mental health access, and of course metal detectors for any of these gun-free zones that people tend to seem to take guns to, the gun-free zones, where it's already illegal. In which case, most cases, them having a gun at all is illegal because they're nuts or they obtained it illegally, what have you. But continue.
To a lot of donors who still want them to be anti-Second Amendment is they have to lie. They have to misrepresent fact, and it becomes really, really hard to do. That's why you see it sort of being one of those issues where you have people like Killer Mike's and people on the left saying, sure, I'm a gun owner, but this brings us to what we have always maintained, that evil will always exist among you.
And also a retardation.
It's become cliche, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, and liberals go, well, you think it's going to be stopped by a good guy with a gun? Just because you say it with a silly face doesn't make it less true. That's like when people go, let me guess, you're not racist because you have a lot of black friends. Well, yeah, just because you do this doesn't mean that it's not a valid argument. If you hate black people, you probably wouldn't have a lot of close black people.
Like, I get called racist by white people a lot. That being said, most of my friends are black. No, it's funny. One time, a friend of mine, I won't say his name, we were talking about, we'll say, that we had two Thomases. And in the general area we were at in this unit that I was in, and I think he said Thomas, and I was like, white Thomas or black Thomas? And then this other white dude walks by, and mind you, the guy I'm talking to is a big ass black dude. He actually looks a lot like Young Ripper, but this white dude walks up and he says, "Whoa, no, that's African American Thomas." And I was like, okay. And I looked at my buddy and I was like, we'll call him John. John, are you black? Are you African American? Without skipping a beat, he's like, I'm an N-word, dude. But he actually said it. And the look on this white dude's face, priceless. Most of it's virtue signaling or grift or whatever. Most of these people don't believe in this shit. Or they only believe it because they've never seen a black person in face to face before, or they've never talked to one, or it's like something that they've only seen in movies, like unicorns. But anyway,
So that brings us to a good guy with a gun here. This happened in Idaho, in and out. 3 people killed as of the time of this broadcast, 7 injured, and a good Samaritan helped stop it.
What's happening? What's happening? What happened? What's happening? Shoot. Go. Just go.
shoot.
Go.
Still shooting. Oh, dude, they fucking shooting up.
Hell yeah. Look at this fucking wacky motherfucker. He got fucking serious fucking gun.
This is the good guy, by the way.
So, suspect fled, killed himself.
I don't know why he jumped into the bushes instead of just staying behind the car. But anyway.
Even more damage. Yeah. As much as he could. Luckily, he was stopped. This brings us to the latest installment. It's been a while. Good guy with a gun.
Armed citizen.
Oh, yeah?
I told him to get away from my door that I would shoot him.
I will do that.
Shots at the masked robbers. Pulled a gun and took out the threat.
And this is something that's pretty important too. I mean, we've talked about this. 500,000 to 3 million defensive uses of firearms every year. And most of them involve a defensive use and no one is shot. So what you see here today, one of the Good Samaritans, he wasn't actually able to hit the attacker, the assailant.
Just on the chat, I guess?
That's enough. That's what it takes. So anyone out there, you get this in the autistic gun community, they'll try and tell you, you need to train every day, you need to go to the range every week, it's a perishable skill, and if you don't, you might as well not have a gun. That's not true. That's why I have many police departments, they undertrain. It's like 50 rounds a year. If you get to the range every couple of months and you stay on top of it, you are much better off, and so is your fellow citizens. So here is the police chief of Twin Falls confirming that this gunman, well, had his hands full because of a Good Samaritan.
Now, we know there have been multiple comments online about multiple shooters. We can confirm that there was an off-duty state trooper and a citizen who actively engaged the suspect by returning gunfire towards him. We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen and their heroic action to stop this incident.
Now, I say this, be careful if you are a quote-unquote good guy with a gun. Be very careful, especially depending on what state you're in. Even the ones where it's legal, if you live in a big enough city, I would still be careful. You never know whether or not you'll be taken as said bad guy or prosecuted because they feel like it. Just because I've seen it happen too many times. It just don't get advertised that much. But yes, even people protecting themselves in their homes or whatnot, just know the laws and always, like I said, do the right thing. But don't get sent to jail by any means, please. I don't want to see it.
Help drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties.
And we don't want to give you the name of the shooter because he's a piece of garbage. But the Good Samaritan, his name is Jordan Salinas. You can check out the references, including his social media. He's a healthcare worker, started training with firearms in 2021 after that mall shooting in Boise. And he said that he had never had his gun, he never had to point his gun at anything, even an animal, until Saturday's shooting. He posted this on Facebook. He said, "For now, my heart remains with the victims, their families, everyone affected by yesterday's tragedy. Thank you for continuing to keep them in your thoughts and prayers."
And notice, this dude was kind of goofy looking, not unlike Alex Preddy. He was also, I think they both worked in healthcare. And the difference is, one of them didn't attack police. That's the biggest issue. But yes, he didn't attack police. And I'm sure if he were approached by police, he would put his gun down and put his hands up, as you should, even if you are a good guy with a gun. I'm saying.
Thank you all for the incredible support you've shown me and my family. 2 years ago, he wrote this: "Train like your life depends on it, because God forbid, one day it might. Stay free, stay safe, stay frosty." Here's a clip of him actually doing some of the training. And people used to think that it looked silly, but hey, aren't we glad he did?
There's only one surefire way to make mad gains.
Oh, Jesus.
Because a strict diet workout routine just says...
Walk out. Go support Crowder. I'm sure it's a good product. I don't use it, but I've looked into it, and it is pretty good. Is this him? Is this the...
Now, the reason that I show that to you is because you could just as easily see that in some montage from the leftist media of a militia extremist. Right. These right-wing militia extremists, these sovereign citizen types. They'll say types. That's where you can see, well, right now you see, okay, these guys are just out there training, and thank God that they do. 500,000.
And honestly, the biggest difference, and people will say this all the time, well, they label us this. Most of what the right labels the left, like communist or socialist, they label themselves. And then when that word is used. Like social justice warrior started off as what the people on the left were calling themselves. They were calling themselves social justice warriors. And then the right, or the disaffected left, like myself, would start calling them SJWs or social justice warriors. And then it became a slur because they were like, oh, it's social justice warriors. Again, people on the right usually get labeled all these extremist things just because they believe in things that the left feels are wrong. The difference is the right has been very passive. They will allow you to live a decadent lifestyle because you have the freedom to do so. Now, that is fairly recent as far as our country's history. It's only been within the last 60 or so years, maybe 70, 80, at least as far as certain things go. But it was still allowed. They had liberalized, so to speak. Now you see the left, now that they've taken power, or were starting to take power, doing the exact same thing that they accuse the right of. And it drives me nuts. This is one of the reasons why I get along pretty decently in right-wing spaces, is because the left pisses me off so much that I'm just like, I don't even relate to these people anymore.
To 3 million defensive uses of firearms every year. Georgetown University said there was at least 1.6 million in 2021. You know how many lives are lost due to gun homicides in this country? Anywhere from 15 to 20-something thousand. 30,000 is a really, really big year. I don't include suicide. Minimum 500,000. Let's round it.
And mind you, nor should you include suicides in gun death numbers. They're going to find a way to do it. Gun deaths, let's be fair, are just the simplest way to do it. And quite possibly, we don't know a whole lot about how painful it is to actually die. But gun deaths seems like the cleanest way, I guess. But again, I don't advocate for suicide. No one should ever, if you're ever feeling down, talk to someone. You can even come here and air your grievances. That's fine. But I don't like including those numbers in gun deaths because let's be fair, it's mostly leftist.
2 million defensive uses. People say if it would save one life, they save millions of lives in the United States of America. It's not even close. The argument is over. If you want to save lives, you want law-abiding citizens armed. More of them. Check out the 3 and 3 podcast that we have on gun crime. You can download these wherever podcasts exist. It's 3 key facts in 3 minutes or less. Gun crime is a really easy one. Gun-free zone, mass shootings, 91 to 94% occur in gun-free zones. Yeah. About 15 to 20-something thousand gun homicides per year versus 500,000 to 2 million lives saved due to defensive uses of firearms. If you want to save a life, carry. If you want to save millions of lives, get all of your responsible, law-abiding friends to carry. That's it. There's no more discussion about it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, there's other video of him shooting. Obviously, we didn't want to play some of it because you do see him firing rounds into a car. And would it have been great for somebody else to be armed in that situation too? Wouldn't it have been great if there were a plenty of good Samaritans and it wasn't just one and one off-duty officer who just happened to be there at that time? Thank God they were. Wouldn't it have been great? But also, look at the self-preservation or really lack thereof of all the people around. We've seen other videos of people coming out saying, hey, there's a shooter. And there's no real reaction. It's like, what's going on? It's like, hey, when you hear gunshots, leave. Right. When you hear that, get out. Don't pull out your phone to record necessarily. Even the people that got the recording of him firing that we played. He's being fired upon. You don't look like you're completely clear of the situation. Get the hell out of there. What are you doing? Yeah. I don't understand this kind of mentality we have. One, good people shouldn't have guns. And two, I'm just going to sit here and record it until, I don't know, maybe I get hit. Yeah. Well, it's ridiculous.
That's unfortunately the way a lot of people, they think that they're just observers behind a screen. It seems to be.
It's your life on the line.
So I don't know.
I would duck behind something and record just so we have some kind of documentation on this, I guess, that it's noted. I don't know. I think it's important to have that video just in case the good guy with a gun needs some kind of support to show that he wasn't part of the carnage, and that he only took a couple of precise shots that ended in no loss of life except for the original gunman.
I don't really have much more to say. Obviously, I hope that those.
Real quick, I love all these happy birthday and good morning things that Jewpool does. It's endlessly hilarious. And honestly, this is kind of like what when Stan Lee died, what I wanted Deadpool's contribution to be in just about every Marvel movie, just to kind of pop in or run through a scene or just be in the background or anything.
Those who are injured recover. This is one. Case closed. Rest the case. We've had decades and decades of data.
Yep.
We know the answer. If you want your, they'll try and tell you the left, oh, you're more likely to be. No. Oh, if you have a gun in the house, it increases. Keep it locked. Be responsible. Train with it moderately. I'll also tell you this: the autistic people in the gun community. I watched Tim Kennedy at a Second Amendment conference say that he trained with his gun several hours a day, every single day, and that if you weren't doing it at least, I think he said 4 days a week, you might as well not have it. I was like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
First off, it's not true. Second, in your attempt to seem self-important and constant need to be self-righteous, you just told people who could protect their families, defend their lives, that they shouldn't because they don't have as much free time as you. And you'll get this a lot in the firearm community. Basic training, stay up on it, make sure you store it safely. You practice these, hey, it's there when you need it. It's the exact opposite of what the left says. It's dangerous. No, you know what's really dangerous? Finding yourself in a situation where you need one, it's too late. Wouldn't you rather have one safely stored and not need it than need it when you don't have one? YouTube's is something you're not allowed to say
Which is
according
true.
to the guidelines. I was quoting the guidelines.
I don't know. I don't have any, but mostly because I can't afford any good ones. I'm not going to get some cheap-ass gun, so I got a baseball bat underneath my pillow. But anyway, moving on. Let's get into Marvel. Why do you hate black people? With Young Rippa.
Ali was under contract to play Blade for about 70 years. Yes, 7. And a few days ago, he finally said the quiet part out loud, and I quote, "You had me under contract. They have billions of dollars. If they wanted to do it, we would have done it." Wonder Man.
Let's be real about this. Mahershala Ali, perfect casting for Blade. At least as far as not bringing Wesley Snipes back for another movie like they did in Deadpool and Wolverine. They had that guy just cast out to do nothing for 7 years. And part of the reason was, just like all the other superheroes, they were trying to replace him in his own movie. The Blade movie, at least as far as it was being written over the last 7 years, was going to have more to do with Blade's daughter that I don't even remember from the comics because it was probably so obscure, like most of the things that they've been putting in to a lot of these Marvel movies. Not for fan service, but for any reason at all, to put a chick in it and make her gay. But Mahershala Ali would have been a great actor. They kept him on the line for so long that he is now about the same age as Wesley Snipes was when Mahershala Ali was cast. That's not an exaggeration. The only problem I had with Mahershala Ali's casting is that he's playing an ageless vampire and he was over 40. They should have had someone who was about 30, maybe 35 at the oldest. Not that it really mattered because he would have been 42 before he got cast away. But Mahershala Ali was a great casting. And God, what they did to him. It sucks. Blade's a great character. And now that we're finally getting a Ghost Rider, which may or may not suck, I don't know. I'm hoping that this will be a little more Heath Ledger than Jared Leto type casting, to where it'll actually be surprisingly good for a lot of people as opposed to surprisingly shit. Heath Ledger was a good actor, but no one knew that he would go through that length to get the character to come across on screen. Whereas Jared Leto was known as a very good actor, and he's box office poison for the most part. I will say he was very good in Masters of the Universe. I just watched that on Amazon Prime. It's very good. I mean, it's not good, but it's very entertaining, and that's really all you need from a He-Man movie. Let's face it, He-Man was never good. It's ridiculous. He is just magicking chains together outside of his own power set just by putting them together, and then all of a sudden, by some fucking nipple magic, they're just together. But anyway, continue.
Got renewed for a second season and then got canceled anyway. Renewed.
It sucked. No one watched it. I heard it was an interesting take on such blah, 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 blah. No one cares. No one cares. Because it has nothing to do with anything. Look, I completely understand wanting to do your own thing. Could it have been a good story if it wasn't eating up superhero time in space? Maybe. But it's hard to separate that. On the other hand, you have things like The Acolyte, which were crap on its face, and it would have been crap even if it hadn't been Star Wars. It would have been hot garbage. These are facts.
Then, of course, killed, like I just said. And you already knew that Kang was dead in the water because of Marvel kind of swapping him out with Dr. Doom. So now there's a conversation happening about black characters in superhero universes, and most of that conversation is wrong. Now,
yes,
some of the characters weren't black to begin with, but hold on to that because that's actually the whole point of this
Captain
video.
African American.
Today, I want to talk about some real harsh realities about black characters in superhero film and about how black Americans as both creators and fans interact with all of it. Keep this in mind while I'm talking about all of this. I'm saying all of it because you can only really build solutions by identifying the problems. Nobody fixes anything by being comfortable, so there are like 3 things that I want to discuss. Number 1, you're chasing legacy to a fault, and because of it, you never build the infrastructure that could carry original properties. This shows up in a few different ways. You look at the adoration and the love for characters that have been around for 60, 80 years, and you try to speed run getting to that level. That's why so many creators only look at the mainstream. That's why so many of the audience, so much of the audience only looks at the mainstream.
And this is 100% true in a lot of ways. Sometimes you get lucky with things like Static Shock, which they immediately bought DC, and DC bought and kiboshed almost instantly, minus a few guest appearances in, I think, Justice League or Justice League Unlimited. And then I think also Batman Beyond, maybe. But most of these characters didn't start off well. The X-Men failed in its first run. And only later, when it retroactively... When it rewrote that history... I can't think of the word off the top of my head. When it retconned, there we go. Retroactively deleted the continuity, changed it. And then they've retconned it again. It was only when they retconned it did Giant Size X-Men, I think it was, or the original X-Men run, find any love. This is the case in a lot of places. Like most of these didn't have any real following for years after they came around. Some of them, like Superman, I think was the first comic book in the medium that we have today. And then it might have been Detective Comics. It was either Action or Detective. I can't remember which one was first. But those were, whichever one was first, was the first, the comic book as we know it today. And that's... And then other ones, like you'd have Captain America, but that popped up mostly really shot off during World War II. But for the most part, comics don't just get popular overnight. Or a character doesn't just get popular overnight. And Wolverine, honestly, didn't get super, super popular until the X-Men animated series. And then, of course, the X-Men movies, the live-action ones. But... people keep wanting to make shortcuts. They want black characters, and instead of writing good black characters, and there are good black characters, good original black characters in DC and Marvel, but they don't want to rewrite any. They want hand-me-downs. They want basically the same as, my family's poor, and any clothes that my older cousin would get handed to me when he outgrew them. And then if they were still any good, or if we bought any clothes for me specifically, those would get handed down to my younger cousin. The only problem was, before too long, I was bigger than my older cousin. So So much for that. But that's basically what they're trying to do with black characters. And Captain America, the only one that really worked was Miles Morales. And that's just because they had it in a separate universe, and then they had to kill off Peter Parker in that universe so that he could really shine. Was it a good story? Yeah. Was it done better in the animated movie? Yeah.
And that's why you find yourself begging. Think about where the resources actually are. Your creative talent and your money are almost entirely tied up in things you don't own, or they're subsidized by companies that will never belong to you. Major publishers, major studios. That's an abusive relationship because you're begging them for their platform and their budgets while telling anybody who will listen that they don't represent you the right way. Both of those things can't really stay true forever. At some point, you have to pick one. And number two, and it piggybacks off of the first one, you only see legitimacy in white characters. And that's been a phrase of mine that I've been saying for over a decade. And it
Hello,
rubs
Angie.
people the wrong way every single time because it's the harshest of the truths. Look at the characters that have been around forever in this genre. They're not just popular. They're stitched into the fabric of American culture to the point that most of their fans have never even read a comic book in their lives. That's the level that you are supposedly chasing. So the shortcut becomes obvious. Race swaps, clones, reskin, and then you justify it by saying it's a mantle or that race was never integral to the character anyway.
It's who the character is. Look, I'm willing to overlook a few things, especially if it's a more unknown character. They take liberties. Like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, her power set was never like that. I believe she was telepath in the comics, and she was only in like 1 or 2 comics. They literally just brought her in because of the name to Deadpool. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. I really need to drink more coffee before I start these.
An original character who isn't a reskin version of somebody else is difficult. It's work. And for whatever reason, that's the part you don't.
Oh yeah, even Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez got canceled for a time until the next Fast and the Furious movie came out, because I think this was between. This might have been right before Paul Walker died too, but she had said something about it's lazy to want to change the race of a character. Why don't we just make our own characters? Which is a great point. Nick Fury. Nick Fury was originally white. He looked a lot like David Hasselhoff. He was actually played by David Hasselhoff in one of the older shitty Marvel movies that came out before X-Men. I think it was during one of the 80s runs actually. But yeah, and then they made him black for the Ultimate Universe, which I don't remember if that came out before or after Samuel L. Jackson played him, but no one cared that Samuel L. Jackson, or that he was black, because he was being played by Samuel L. Jackson, and everyone loved Samuel L. Jackson. And he was, I'm pretty sure the Ultimate Universe came first, and he was black in there, so. But that's the main reason, is just because they made this whole alternate universe, and nobody really cared. And I think that was step one of their master plan to destroy everything. But
want to do while still wanting the validation at the end of it. So here's the thing that I think a lot of people miss. Even the properties you're trying to shortcut didn't get there overnight. X-Men debuted in 1963. It took roughly 2 decades before they showed up in animation at all. Almost 30 years before X-Men the animated series.
That's true.
Made them.
There was an 80s series, and it was crap, but there were some good parts in it. Yes, it's actually right here.
Household names. And they're 40 years before the live action stuff took off in the 2000s. 40 years. So even with a major publisher, nobody handed really anything to them. And number 3, you hamstring your characters and the universes that they live in by sort of turning them into these cultural statements instead of stories. Sometimes it's in the work itself, and other times it's on the press tour and the campaign around it. Now, I despise the word nuance, but this is a little nuance. So please bear with me. One of the more foolish things that Black American culture really convinced other Black Americans of is that everything has to be, quote, for the culture. That single idea has people rejecting originality and trying way too hard at the same time. You put
Not trying to make any accusations here, but they do something called sampling, which is where you'll hear a beat or a riff from an older song, and it'll be mixed just slightly different. Maybe with an even, maybe it's a riff from an 80s song with a better beat behind it or a little more bass behind it. They call this sampling. I call it theft. I'm not against it, but still, theft.
Yourself and your work inside these boundaries that nobody asked for. If you want mass appeal, you have to work with universal truths. That's the price of entry.
This is
Batman,
true.
Spider-Man, they didn't become two of the biggest properties on the planet by trying to be white. They were compelling characters who happened to be white in stories that connected with everybody from all walks of life. That's the recipe behind nearly every entertainment icon there is, from Goku to Superman. When there is something cultural in them, like you see out of the Eastern properties, it's folded into it tastefully. It's not the whole pitch. They're not simply just trying to alone make a statement. But with black characters, you kneecap them on the way out the door. You make them unrelatable, shallow, boring, and then you're confused about why you're left waiting for somebody to come along and grant you a character or hand you an investment out of pity. I'm not saying any of this from the cheap seats either. Let me give you the facts. A lot of these...
Mind you, this man has his own comic book line. The Rippaverse, I haven't read them yet. I hear they're pretty good. I just keep forgetting to buy them.
Same folks hated me, of course, when I talked about tokenization because they weren't really listening to me. They were too emotional. Since then, I've created original black characters and sold hundreds of thousands of books independently, no outside investment, zero mainstream entertainment support. Traditional superhero stories like with InCeLs, horror with Blood Root, noir with Salvage, African mythology with Norfolk Glorious Death #2, which is doing gangbusters on pre-orders right now. So you can absolutely honor a culture and its subculture without it coming off as cheap. But you have to give the characters some depth past their skin tone. Their skin tone should be the least interesting thing about them. The solution to every gripe in that conversation is the same one it's always been. You got to build your own thing. Own the thing. Make the characters deep enough that people care about them for reasons that outlive like some sort of news cycle. You've got to get over asking others and begging others for access to their resources. This is why it trips me out when I hear people say, oh, they're not beating the allegations. Well, how about you create your own thing and own it? You don't have to worry about other folks doing stuff for you in the first place.
That's Young Rippa. Young Rippa does a lot of good work. He doesn't do as much YouTube anymore. Now that he has the business, he just hops on here when something pisses him off or when he has time or when he's advertising something. But go and check him out. Young Rippa's out there doing good work. He's here, Texas-based, making alternative forms of consumable media, so you don't have to give your money to people who don't care about you, who feel that they have outgrown you, even though it's your dollars and those like you who have made them the behemoths that they currently are. Talking about Marvel and DC. Hi. So let's see real quick. How much time we got? Okay, I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead. I'm gonna just gonna rock.
Taxpayer-funded dolls
That
with
is-
removable
that
genitals
is not-
in Minnesota.
That is not what I did.
Your kids are now taxpayer-funded dolls with removable genitals.
Hold on, that's an old one. What the hell? I just had this. There we go.
No matter who your favorite superhero is, it doesn't matter how much good they do or how many people's lives that they save. They all suffer from the same
All right.
thing. Being
Hot off the press lines. This one's for you, Angie. So yeah, chat request.
complete dumbass when it matters the most.
Fire Lord Ozai, you and your forefathers have devastated the balance of this world, and now you shall pay the ultimate price.
I love how he specified death for those of us that don't Sorry, retarded. What? Did I say that? I might have said that. I don't know. I don't keep track of myself.
Exhibit A of heroes being a dumbass, not wanting to kill. Here we have a genocidal maniac who is hell-bent on covering the whole entire earth in fire. I mean, just look at this face. Does this face really say, man,
I mean, come on, Aang found a way. He's a kid. If you don't want kids that young killing folk. Like, maybe when they get older, sure, maybe Deadpool. But it leaves a mark on you, killing folk.
I want to become a better person and make up for the error of my ways, and yet he has spared his life. Just why? As a kid, I realized that in that moment, all my favorite superheroes are nothing but bitches because they can't.
Oh, seriously? That's where you're going?
When it matters the most. And this is where the anti-hero comes in. They're just like heroes, but with actual common sense. And Jason Todd is the definition of common sense. This man is the Trunks of the DC universe. You see, unlike Batman's soft ass, Jason is at least willing to.
I will say I did like that recut where you see Trunks killing Frieza from a different angle, from the angle of one of Dr. Giro's little nanobugs or whatever they were in the movie.
Pop ahead or two for the greater good. Now, Jason was
sorry, retarded. Is that what you
he
mean?
was brainwashed by Batman to believe that killing is never the answer and they should answer for their crimes and all the other bullshit. But when my man Joker got a hold of him, oh, he woke up and saw the light for sure. Now, just imagine you waking up every single day to some grown man wearing makeup on his face, whispering in your ear like he's some little ass kid, torturing you day in and day out. And then on top of all that, he burns his initial on your face? So then Batman on some real fatherly shit ain't show up when he needed him the most. All for my boy Jason to get shot. So you fast forward a little bit and he gets resurrected by some magical water. And what came out of it wasn't the same little boy. It was a grown ass man. And bro did not waste any time whatsoever.
The worst are the people who shoot the henchmen. No, exactly. Like, that was my biggest problem with The Last of Us Part 2. Is that you killed all these people. You killed the pregnant chick. You killed all of her friends. And then you get to her and just say, I can't do the thing that caused me to kill all these people. I can't kill the person who crushed Joel's head in with a putter. It's so dumb. It's just like, oh, I had a revelation. Fuck you, lady. Last of Us 2 was garbage, okay? It seemed like Last of Us 2 really hated the first game, and I think that's why Last of Us 2 sucked. I could go, like, hours and talk about how much I hate Last of Us 2. Beautiful game, improved on the gameplay and such. I won't knock the people who made the shit, like the actual gameplay and animations and the whole bit. Like, it was beautiful looking game. I've never seen snow like that. I still haven't. Not even in real life. But yeah, fuck you. Was it Druckmann? Neil Druckmann? Exactly. He's awful. He's awful. Neil Druckmann's the worst, man. And he made the show even worse. Like, the only thing that was, I think, sure, it was a decent episode where they focused on two people who were dead by the time you got to them in the first game. And it was a kind of a beautiful story, and it was sweet, and it made me look at the guy from Parks and Rec differently, which is weird. But it was a decent story. But I mean, we were already kind of cruising for time, and did they really have to make shit up in a story where we were already cutting a lot of shit out? Anyway.
However, the first thing this man did was conspire with one of Batman's ops to kill him. And one of the first things this man tries to do after seeing his old mentor after all these years is not talking or catching up. It's straight business. He tries to blow up the whole entire bridge with Bruce along with it. But then shortly after that, Jason does something that very few humans, shoot, even aliens alike, can never do to Batman. And that's catching this man off guard. He shoots some warning shots.
They killed Joel off just so Abby couldn't be forgiven. Game's over. Well, and that's the funny thing. A lot of people, including Angry Joe, just threw Abby off the cliff at their first convenience. Now, I will say, I enjoyed playing as Abby eventually once I realized I could just beat the shit out of a zombie. But it doesn't make any sense how she get that beefy, where she get all the protein, where she get the male hormones to inject in herself, because that's pretty much the only way you can get that beefy as a woman, especially in the post-apocalypse. But just makes no sense, which is why in the show they made Abby a normal-sized girl, which is going to make some of the things that she's supposed to do a little less believable. But I don't know. Give and take, I guess. Maybe don't write characters doing things beyond their physical limitations.
At Batman, one punches this man enough to put him on the ground and then shoots him in the exact point of his weak spot. Meanwhile, while Batman is on the ground literally looking like he's finna die, Jason just walking off like, yeah, try me, like I'm really with that shit. So after getting caught off,
she's classified as a dude, bitch.
This time, Batman catches Jason off guard, and I ain't even gonna lie to you, he was choking the shit out of him. But right when Batman was supposed to put the beating on Jason, he literally looks him in the eyes and says, "Not yet, Dark Knight." Now, normally when people disappear with some smoke bombs and shit, right, you can literally see them moving. They might jump out the way or just go into hiding. This man vanishes into thin fucking air. So while Batman is on this scavenger hunt trying to finally get this scarecrow, only for him to escape again, Jason pulls up in another helicopter with a big-ass RPG firing these two big-ass missiles at Bruce. Ayo, can we just appreciate Batman's weave game for 1 second? Like, my God, is this shit impeccable?
I'll agree. Oh yeah, Batman fighting the Ninja Turtles. Dig it.
And somehow Batman tanks both of these shots and gets up moments after because he's Batman. And then decides,
I thought you said his weave game was on point.
Ain't enough to deal with you. Let's settle this in a tank 1v1. So after losing this 1v1 to Batman, you're probably thinking to yourself, there's no possible way that Jason escapes again. There's just no way. But not only does he escape again, he comes back in whatever the fuck this monstrosity is and tries to blow up Bruce underground, buried where nobody could ever find him. And once again, Jason did something that very few people could ever do. He had the greatest detail.
I didn't really like this game either. I like the first two. I even kind of like the Origins, except for the Deathstroke fight. But I didn't like this game at all. I haven't even played it all the way through, man. Like, it was that shitty. Of course, the first time I did try to play it was on PC, but that being the, either way, whatever.
Detective, one of the greatest fighters of all time, pinned against the ropes, only being able to escape getting his Batmobile blown up in the process. So while Batman escapes for whatever reason, thinking Jason just isn't going to follow him, he out here trying to rescue somebody else, and Jason pulls up again, saying that this shit is not over yet, and then proceeds to tell Bruce to turn around.
Over.
So him and Batman finally get to run that fade with each other, and in the process of doing so, he takes both of his pistols and turns them motherfuckers into a sniper rifle. Now, even though
that's
he
not how that
didn't
works.
lose the fight, the fact that he did that badass
Doesn't make
shit
the bullets
he
bigger.
didn't even give a fuck. He still won in my book. Now, after seeing all of these numerous encounterments, one might ask themselves, why does he have so much fucking determination? How would you feel if someone were to leave you with a psychotic man-child? If I had to wake up every day looking at this ugly ass face, bro, I would be pissed as hell too. Meanwhile, this is the same exact man that resurrected Bane's heartbeat. Bane, the same person that is a killer, a drug dealer, and a criminal. By the way, this is the same man that did this.
I mean, yeah, but if he killed them all, he wouldn't have anything to do.
Bro, god damn, you just got dragged from the elevator, picked up like a hoe, thrown against the wall multiple times just to get tossed like some trash. And then you get socked in your face just because. In moments after being resurrected
by Bane,
he chokes this man Bruce out with his stink ass breath. The same Bruce that jumps off a fucking building to save the Joker. I don't know any other motherfucker that's saving this man. But you're telling me that when it matters the most, when one of the most dangerous criminals alive has someone who he thinks of as a child and he doesn't do shit about it, man, get the fuck out of here. So now after Jason moved on from Batman, he becomes the Red Hood, and oh my God. Let's just say if I'm a criminal in Gotham, I'd rather deal with Batman than Red Hood. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you, bro.
100%.
Anybody that know anything superhero related,
I mean, Batman will fuck you up.
that when you stop becoming a sidekick and you become your own man or woman, bro, it's like going Super Saiyan or getting your full potential unleashed. Mud just start getting the hidden abilities out of nowhere and just turn into straight demons. And Red Hood is no exception to this, because one of the first things this man tries to do is hunt down Black Mask. So after tracking down a couple of Black Mask men, tell me why the first thing bro does is just straight drop down from the ceiling. No stealth, no sneaky approach. He just said, fuck all that, we finna get straight to it. So after beating everybody ass,
I mean, it wasn't needed, but it looked cool.
he then decides
Picked
to
up a-
interrogate one of them.
Where is Black Mask?
And it picked up a hoe, don't go together, Wade. I mean, it kind of went together.
Wrong answer.
Okay, stop. At the docks. He's keeping the guns at the docks.
He's keeping the guns at the docks. Anyway. Damn. He said what you wanted to
When I
know.
saw this shit for the first time playing this DLC, I was like, oh, this is how we really doing shit. Like, this isn't Batman where he just keeping people alive. Like, I'm thinking when he using these guns, these are just, I don't know, prop guns. He got some hidden pellets in there that keeps them alive. But no, he's out here really killing motherfuckers. So after getting some information from one of the henchmen, Jason goes to another hideout to potentially get closer to Black Mask, right? He takes them all out with ease and leaves one guy hanging.
Shit, I might just play the DLC, see how I like that.
Boss, Black Mask. Where is he?
You ain't gonna kill me. You ain't gonna kill me.
Do I look like Batman to you?
I mean, you have a bat on your chest, or at least something bat-like. It's always the ducks.
But you ain't gonna get him. He knows you're coming, freak.
Buddy, you have a whole Black Mask face on riding for a whole nother man that don't know you, and you got the nerve to call somebody else a freak?
I mean, that's a good point.
Look, if somebody is walking up to me aggressive as fuck and the first thing they do is pick me up one-handed and put a gun to my chest, I am telling them whatever the fuck they want to know. And then bro really fucked up saying, man, you ain't finna kill me, you ain't finna kill me. Like, dog, did you not just see him shoot and pack up your whole team? So by now, I'm sure you can tell Red Hood ain't playing with nobody. So he finally finds where Black Mask.
Hold on, I'm gonna use that every time someone thinks I'm not gonna kill them. Do I look like Batman? I would like if there's someone you know, just tickle them. I mean, that's what the left thinks we should do. Anyway.
Is located at, and in the meantime his goons is out here chilling. They doing their own little thing, they vibing, hanging out, counting their money, and then boom, this motherfucker walks in and sends this man tumbling to the ground and proceeds to tell the rest of them to run while he's gunning them to the ground. Like, bro, how psychotic are you?
Does
And
he
while he's
look
beating
like
their
a
asses,
bitch?
This man is jumping hurdles not even professional Olympians can even hit. Like, bro, you're reaching inhumane territory, man. So Black Mask finally pulls up after making this this cartoon ass appearance, and then moments later gets his shit rocked.
Black Mask.
Ah!
You should have left when you had a chance.
You don't need to do this. You can get money, drugs, guns, weapons, whatever you want.
I mean, I could just take that after you die.
Leave Gotham. Never show my face again. Any way you want.
You never show your face. You're wearing a mask.
How about you go to hell?
Damn.
Woo!
Say hi to Joker for me.
Dog, I'm sorry,
Yo.
but this gotta be one of the most badass things in fiction history. This is quite the definition.
That is pretty
of getting
badass, I
straight
ain't gonna
to
lie.
business, bro. No talking, no nothing, bro. Mind you, Batman has been going back and forth with these motherfuckers for decades, bro. Decades. And in one night, this man has put down one of the biggest criminals in Gotham. I don't want nobody to tell me killing ain't the answer after seeing this. But the killers don't just stop there. No. This is just the beginning. Now moving on to a movie called Batman Death in the Family, which takes place after the events of a classic movie, Batman Under the Red Hood. Please watch that shit if you haven't already.
It is really good. Jensen Ackles plays Red Hood, Jason Todd.
But little do they know that Ra's al Ghul is doing a secret deal with none other than the Joker himself. So while they doing deals on some evil villain shit, Jason tries to go after the Joker like an idiot, gets himself kidnapped, Batman doesn't know where he's at, and Jason getting the living shit.
Is it weird that I'm thirsty now? Anyway.
But bro, oh my God, the beating that this man taking right now from the Joker, I need to put a 1 out there because no words can describe the shit that this man Joker put him through. So we cut to the scene and off rip, Joker asks him,
"So, let's try and clear this up, okay, Pumpkin? What hurts more? A or B? Forehand or backhand?"
Man, I always knew this nigga Joker was a pimp, bro. The way he just backhanded this man multiple times and how he just freestyling with this shit, he got it down to a T. And then look at poor Jason feet, man. Them toes is just going in any which direction. So after getting this shit beat out of him, Jason once again does some goated ass shit. Even throughout all of this,
he looks at him and says,
he turns around and looks at the Joker and smiles dead in his face like, "You're gonna have to do better than that." So after the Joker leaves, Jason, just being the G that he is, musters up somehow the courage to even crawl to the door and try to escape. But of course, Joker being the biggest troll in human civilization, this motherfucker leaves a whole goddamn bomb left in the building and blows Jason up. Now this is where things get really interesting. So after Jason gets blown up in the process, you as a viewer can choose between 3 options. Number 1, Batman gets to him in time and unfortunately dies in the process of getting blown up. Or
what? Okay, so this is a throwback. Hey, if you were Red Hood, you definitely take that request any day. I mean, I do have the mask, but and this is really cool because in the actual Death in the Family comic book, I'm pretty sure you got to vote on whether or not Jason died or not, and he was very unpopular as a Robin because he was nothing like Dick Grayson. And I can't believe people's name is Dick. But you only got 2 options, live or die. On this one, apparently you get 3, but it was pretty heavy on the kill the kid vote. And this was in the 80s. The first time effeminate men became a big thing.
Or the normal events that we know of today, he gets resurrected, becomes the Red Hood, da-da-da-da. So now we got the 3rd option. Now, we ain't really worried with the other 2 options. They boring as hell. But this 3rd option right here, this 3rd option is for all the people that want violence and nothing but violence. So we start off in this 3rd option timeline of Jason miraculously surviving this explosion. But unfortunately, he has to get hella stitches, hella surgery, and is bedridden for damn near 3 months. But during this recovery process, he goes through his little Majin Vegeta arc. He just realizes, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with y'all. Y'all ain't getting shit done. I gotta take things into my own hand. And taking things into his own hand does not describe what you're finna see right now. Because the first thing that this man does is pull up to a mafia organization and opens fires on all of them. No talking.
Oh, does he become Hush?
And then after that, Batman doing his
He looked like he become
beats
Hush.
the shit out of you, puts you in cuffs. The police come and rescue you. The same old. But this time, Jason pulls up and was like, "We ain't finna do that today," and snipes Cheetah point blank at the head. And then shortly after that, he goes after the Riddler. And not only did he just go after the Riddler, he straight decapitated his
What?
ass.
Riddle me
Which
this.
obviously
Where's his head?
with y'all is a very fitting death for this motherfucker, because anybody who has played the Arkham games know the amount of chatting that this dude does is unmatched.
I mean, I wanted to cut his head off too.
Just to figure out all these goddamn riddles, man. Fuck the Riddler. So by now, I'm sure you can tell that this dude got a whole hit list, and once again, Black Mass is on this list. Like, this motherfucker cannot catch a break from Jason. Now, looking at the scene, just this picture right here.
Come on, man, I'm not the one that killed him.
Gonna snipe him and let that be that and go on and dip. No. Why pull out a sniper rifle and kill you quickly when I could just pull out this big ass RPG and fire this bitch at you? Woo! And not only does he get blown up and launched the fuck out the building, but he's still somehow alive during this process, and then gets blown up again in a gas tank, bro. Like, goddamn, like, I know he a criminal.
I mean, I'm not a furry, but I mean, Shitara was hot. Anyway.
And all, but damn, this is beyond killing at this point. So after packing up every single body on his list, there's only one motherfucker left, and that's the Joker himself. He finally gets a hold of the Joker, beats the living shit out of him in revenge of how Joker did him, and then he finally does the very thing we have all been waiting for. He kills the Joker. And for whatever reason, everybody was just sad that the Joker dies. Like, this man wasn't just some mass criminal. Like, Commissioner Gordon is just sad seeing the Joker die, but this man literally crippled your daughter.
But like,
yeah, that
it's
is
really
weird.
Interesting nightmares.
When somebody loved me.
Of course, leave it up to the people of Gotham to be sad about a mass murderer dying, bro. If this were to happen in real life, just like how they doing that man O.J. Simpson right now, they will be doing Joker 10 times worse. But let this be a lesson that at the end of the day, revenge is always gonna be the best answer. Like, what the fuck?
That's how you end it? Revenge is going to be the best answer? What the fuck? Oh my god. Do we have time? Yeah, we got time.
Oh, you know how to do COVID, everything.
Bash. We heard any number of, would we say that?
All right, so that was a fan request. Wade has some really awesome videos. Go and support him if you haven't already. Look at me having 3 people watching, being like, "Hey, go watch this dude that has millions of views." Anyway,
top 2 most famous Democrat families.
I would think so. Yes.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 1 probably.
Lifelong Democrat. Kennedy ran for the Democrat nomination as a Democrat with a running mate who was a Democrat. Okay. And even he is warning you against voting Democrat because he's peeked behind the curtain. It's time for media malpractice.
and I love these media malpractice segments because they're incredibly based and accurate.
And I want you to, people are playing this clip, and they're just saying RFK dunked on Dana Bash. Yeah, sure. But I want you to watch what her defense is.
Mm-hmm. It's
because the entire defense that does not hold up. They said, well, this is our job to do the best with what we have. No.
That's not what they're doing.
That's not what they did. And that's what their face needs to be dragged in.
Best ending to revenge is the best answer. Like, what the fuck? No, exactly. That was a crazy ending. It's just like, revenge is the best answer. Credits. Like,
Dana Bash looked like the screen painting.
Yes.
Plate the clip.
Come back here and debate this.
I'm not debating this for you.
Of course you are.
No, because I'm not
all you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about the social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job to talk to people.
Your job is to
Am I allowed to talk?
to the American public.
Yes, and my job is to get as much information as I can.
And
what we were doing,
skepticism.
What we were doing in COVID and still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
Who was lying to you?
Lick my balls.
hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Had to blow my nose. I could not breathe.
Let's take her argument. They've been saying we did the best that we could at that time. Never mind the fact that, of course, the incestuous relationship, right? She was texting Fauci, personally slamming Republicans in 2021 after the COVID hearings. And her ex-husband, by the way, signed a letter saying that the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop during that election was likely Russian disinformation. Now, they were divorced at the time, but the point is all these people congregate together. All right, we did the best with the information that we had. No, the standard by which they need to be judged and history needs to be recorded is what information was available at that moment in time that they ignored and ended up being correct. This idea that the only information out there was, hey, it came from a wet market, came from a bat, that lockdowns work, right? That masks work, social distancing, that natural immunity wasn't a thing, that there were no risks with the vaccine. This idea that that was the only information available. Okay, then how could, I'll use us as an example, but you can include podcasters, non-experts, doctors, scientists, including those on this show at that exact moment in time. You never heard any of this on Dana Bash. How could we, the layman's, be right on the lab leak, in contrast with Dana Bash, on lockdowns, on masks, the way they were being used not working, on social distancing being a made-up number, on natural immunity, so you wouldn't need the vaccine if you had it, on inflated death tolls, on comorbidities, on it being less lethal for children but more lethal for the elderly,
On what color Joe Rogan actually is.
on vaccines not stopping transmissions, on potential side effects like myocarditis. How could we, on ivermectin, on other treatments, at least lessening the symptoms?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. Yes, ivermectin is a horse dewormer. It is used in that fashion. It is also used in people, like a lot. It's a I think it's an anti-parasitic or an antifungal. I can't remember. Hold on. Ivermectin, is that an anti-parasitic or an antifungal? I can't remember. Yeah, an anti-parasitic, which does have instances to where it can be used for other things, as it was with COVID. And it actually led to, positive results when it came to combating COVID. Because sometimes when you take a medicine, it will attack something else that also identifies whatever disease you have as such. Maybe it's attached to whatever it's actually attacking, and it also helps you with COVID or whatever else. The human body's crazy. Anyway.
How were we able to be right about all of that and no one at CNN heard any of it? And those same doctors were banned talking about it, including doctors. I had my own personal doctor on this show. To give you a story, to give you an idea, before it was politicized, my doctor was on the show when this was novel. And we were telling people, yeah, if you do have a mask, or you can do this to prevent, if you have to go to work, if you want to stop from spreading to other people. We always told people, like, yeah, masks don't help. It's not like it's a respirator as far as filtering the air, but if you want to stop spreading it, droplets. And at that moment in time, before it was politicized, I had my doctor on, and he said, hey, there's a lot of promise with really kind of all viral loads being reduced with zinc and quercetin. He said, vitamin C can be helpful, but in a limited capacity. This is kind of what we do with, if my patients are sick, it usually helps them ward it off or not be as severe. And then later on, that was then tagged as misinformation. Or later on, it was then tagged or banned. I don't remember. We were censored so many times during COVID. Something that a doctor would say in any other interview, meaning if you were to watch The View and someone were to say, hey, it's cold season, zinc and quercetin has shown a lot of clinical promise in reducing viral load. That was gone. That wasn't allowed to be communicated. How did we get all of it right? It's bullshit when they say we did the best with the information that we had. No, you didn't. You were busy colorizing Joe Rogan to make him look sicker and relabel ivermectin horse paste medicine as though it wasn't one of the most common anti-parasitic medications for human beings in the history of mankind. You were not doing the best with the information that you had. Here's what they were doing, and there are a lot of similarities.
Hold on. This is what Morgan J. Freeman looks like? That's crazy. I feel like I've been lied to. And not just by the words that he speaks on his profile, because that's all lies.
They were lockstep with communist China, which is also why Bill Maher shouldn't be surprised at socialism. Just look, the
What?
CCP
No, what
forced the
happened?
media to toe the line, right? That's what happened over there. What did America do? The American media? Exact same thing. Exact same thing. CCP, early COVID, what were they doing? What did we do? Let's go through this. Let's go through a couple of comparisons. We've got 3 for you. Key fact 1. Communist Chinese Party silencing doctors. We knew that. What happened in America?
That was definitely happening.
Media silenced doctors.
What?
Practicing doctors. First it was hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin C, you know, just to try and help people. Then it was ivermectin. Let's go to the second example. You have doctors. What did the CCP do? Silence citizen journalists. Remember that?
There were people in my hometown that were trying to get doctors telling you to just treat it like a common cold. Trying to get them, what's it called? Trying to get you not disbarred, whatever being disbarred is for doctors. It's getting your medical license revoked. That's what it is.
Here's a clip.
A Chinese COVID-19 whistleblower has been given 4 more years in prison, according to Reporters Without Borders. Zhang Zhan had already served a 4-year prison sentence after she posted accounts of the early spread of the coronavirus from the epicenter of Wuhan. The citizen journalist was first arrested in 2020. It followed months of her reporting on crowded hospitals and empty streets that painted a more dire picture of the disease than the official narrative.
Communist China, you expect it. What happened in America? Media silenced citizen journalists.
Yeah.
And by that I mean government.
Pretty much everyone who said anything against the mainstream on YouTube and the media was either immediately fired or silenced. Your YouTube channels were taken down. Your Facebook pages were taken down. X, you were taken off until Elon Musk bought it, pretty much.
Government, legacy media, and big tech all work together. We right here were censored. We were banned from YouTube in real time before the midterms for citing the CDC. We said COVID is significantly more lethal to the elderly, but significantly less lethal to infants. We cited the CDC 1 year of standard flu deaths.
Yeah,
more
exactly.
Than
Nux.
all COVID data combined.
I mean,
and we actually
he was, I think, pretty much completely taken down. Now he's demonetized for saying that he thinks, you know, rapists should go to jail, or be castrated or killed.
covered that in a way that would help you, the viewer. We said, so just be aware, like a lot of people forget the flu is actually much more serious than people take. Certainly for young people, your children are at greater risk of the flu than COVID. So this mass hysteria is misdirected. We cited the CDC and were censored. Dana Bash, we were just doing the best with the information that we had. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Give me another example. 3. How did the CCP silence all their critics? Well, it's a play as old as time. Racist. It was racist. It was racist. It was racist to suggest that it might be a bioweapon. It was racist to suggest it might have been engineered in a lab. It was racist to call it the Chinese virus. Remember that? Hey, what happened in the United States if you question the origins, if you... Well, the media silenced all critics as racist. You know, like Bill Maher did with Barack Obama. When we said taking over a fifth of the economy is kind of veering us towards socialism. He said what did he say in that clip? 99.5% of you are racist who just hate a black man. Right?
That is what he said.
And all you were racist to think that it came from a lab in China. They weren't doing the best with what they had. People like Dana Bash, by the way, one and the same with the Biden government and those in positions of power in big tech. They weren't. They were deliberately, it was systematic corruption in silencing any voices of dissent, and those voices could have saved many, many, many. Hey, if it saves one.
Hold on, real quick.
And finally, new rule, you can't yell at someone for breaking a rule you just made up. Scientists, yes, scientists who are generally...
And this is a great point on this, and I'm only playing it mostly because, one, I still like Bill Maher, even though in this same episode, Steven Crowder went against him, which understandably so, but, you know, I'm not saying let him back in the club. I'm just saying sometimes you need, you know, a little bit of people realizing they were wrong. I agree that he should admit that he was wrong, but...
pretty liberal, have been naming diseases after the places they came from for a very long time. Zika, is from the Zika forest, Ebola from the Ebola River, hantavirus, the Hantan River.
These are all facts. A lot of diseases, especially ones that kill a lot of people or are specifically from a certain area, as far as point of origin goes, are named after said place, including a few places in America.
There's the West Nile virus and guinea worm and Rocky Mountain spotted fever and, of course, the Spanish flu. MERS stands for Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. It's plastered all over airports and no one blogs about it.
It's completely true.
So why should China get a pass?
Because they believe in the same system of government, because people love China, because socialism, communism, pick one.
Congressman Ted Lieu tweeted, "The virus is not constrained by country or race. Be just as stupid to call it the Milan virus." No, that would be way stupider because it didn't come from Milan. And if it did, I guarantee we'd be calling it the Milan virus. Jesus fucking Christ, can't we even have a pandemic without getting offended? When they named Lyme disease after a town in Connecticut, the locals didn't get all ticked off. ticked off. Seriously, it scares me.
That was a good joke. It was spread by ticks.
That there are people out there who would rather die from the virus than call it.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, looks like someone from a certain place. I don't know if that's on purpose, or if that's just for this, or if that was already there. If it's already there, Bill. If it was put here for this, Bill, that's awesome. Anyway.
But by the wrong name. This isn't about vilifying a culture. This is about facts. This is about life and death. We're barely 4 months into this pandemic, and the wet markets in China, the ones where exotic animals are sold and consumed, are already starting to reopen. The PC police say it's racist to attack any cultural practice that's different than our own.
No, that's not true, especially if it causes fucking diseases or rapidly spreads disease, or anyone from there is allowed to fly here and just spread the disease freely.
I say liberalism lost its way when it started thinking like that and pretended that forcing a woman to wear this was just a different way instead of an abhorrent human rights violation. It's not racist to point out that eating bats is batshit crazy. In 2007...
I'm sorry. Bat dick. Anyway. Continuing on.
Life. And as you know, even YouTube during that time was silencing us like a prisoner. It was basically prison rape.
Those are some titties.
It's as though Dana Bash doesn't remember this exchange.
Why
with
does he
President
have?
Trump.
Why does he have a clip for prison rape?
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of
Oh yeah, that's her.
incidents of bias against Chinese Americans.
I love
in
this. This is the
country.
best.
Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus.
That it didn't. That's the stupidest thing ever. It's not called the. You can get this from Chinese people. It's called the China virus.
Why do you keep using this? A lot of
It
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be
And
accurate.
see how they frame it? Because ethnicity does not cause the virus.
The only and this goes to show how racist the left is. Only the left thinks that anyone means or would think that you can only get this from Chinese people. That's stupid, and no one thinks it. Are there some stupid people on the right who will see a Chinese person and possibly say something horrible or possibly assault them? Yes, those people exist. But the likelihood of those people coming across an actual Chinese person is very low. They're hill folk back where I'm from. they don't go out that often. They don't see people beyond their own little township or hill that they reside on. Not the fancy kind of hill either. This is the one where meth goes to play. Anyway.
Iris?
Right.
No. Communist engineers and scientists do, you stupid bitch.
That was in March of 2020. This timeline, it was already in Italy wreaking havoc then, so you could have at least, if they were going to do it like that, it's like Italians. But do you remember what they did? When he basically said, hey, we got to do this. Don't go down to Chinatown. Don't go to these big areas and be out in public together. It's not smart. You had Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats going like, I can't believe how racist he is, and going down there and bopping around. It wasn't about Chinese people necessarily. It was about being out in big crowds.
It wasn't about Chinese people at all.
No, well, listen, there would have been a higher propensity of saying, hey, maybe if somebody did travel back, it could spread there first, but it's going to go around. But it was in Italy and other places at that time, too, wreaking havoc.
But she goes, because ethnicity, no one said ethnicity has anything to do with it.
No, of course
We're talking about a foreign nation lying about the origins.
Yes.
And potentially engineering a virus. At best, avoiding accountability. At worst, deliberately releasing this into an unsuspecting public, or they're happy about it. That's what we're talking about. But they frame it that way. You know, your criticism of President Obama, a black man. What? And by the way, this adds a new wrinkle here. I highly recommend that you go check this out. Natalie Winters just exposed a communist Chinese part of the CCP pipeline that recruited specifically American journalists, including but not limited to Ron Brownstein, a CNN senior political analyst, David Sweeney, former NPR managing editor, Matthew Iglesias, Vox co-founder. That's a big one. Ezra Klein, Vox co-founder. And then David Rode, MS Now senior national security reporter. These journalists were given unfettered access in exchange for favorable coverage of the CCP, Beijing, however you want to put it. This actually, Rode wrote this in an article after his trip. Unlike the United States, where free market advocates deride the role of government, the Chinese state has played a central role in creating, supporting, and expanding businesses here. Americans, meanwhile, should accept that large-scale manufacturing will never return to the United States. It should likely be in China. Keep in mind, Ezra Klein, Matthew Iglesias, right? They were Vox co-founders, co-producing videos, series with YouTube, who were also trying to break into the Chinese market and banned dissent, banned criticism of Vox under the guise of homophobia of yours truly. That was the Vox apocalypse. They were working hand in hand. So this idea, it's not a conspiracy, it's a phone call with 10 people. And now you've got a list.
I will say that Crowder was one of the reasons for the Vox apocalypse. I mean, he was just speaking the truth. I can't remember the name of that gay dude on there, but Crowder made fun of him a bunch. But okay, it wasn't his fault. It was the fault of the guy who couldn't take a joke or couldn't take any kind of belittling or harassment, which I don't recommend anyone do. But they did the same. They always have called this dude and others Nazis, which is by far more offensive and can actually get you beat the fuck up or even killed, as we found out, because stupid people believe this shit.
Got a list of these people in chain emails, guys. It doesn't require everyone at Area 51, including the janitor, be in on it and keep their mouths closed. It just requires that a handful of people, let's say at that point in time, Jack Dorsey, Susan Wojcicki, maybe a couple of Mark Zuckerberg, and Ron Brownstein, David Sweeney, Matthew Iglesias, Ezra Klein, David Rode. That's all you need. That would be all you need, and maybe create a department in government to reach out to media to completely silence any and all voices of dissent. If you could toss Dana Bash on there, hey, that'd make it a little bit tighter for them to silence voices of dissent. That's all you need. Just add those names up. Add 3 people from big tech companies. Any opposing viewpoints? Gone. Oh, ivermectin? Gone. Oh, the flu might be more deadly for young people? Gone. Oh, lockdowns might not? Gone. All of Sweden? Gone. Doctors in California? Gone. You have the list before you. You don't need to come up with a conspiracy. Check the references, link in the description, every single show. We did the best with the information that we had. Bill Maher, well, I didn't know. I'm a classical liberal. Can you guys fuck off enough? Seriously, it's just, is anyone buying this? I'm a classical liberal.
And I understand that viewpoint 100%. Again, I don't even know if I would still class myself as liberal. I don't think I'll ever see myself as a conservative. I apologize. I don't. I mean, I'm here. I'm on your side on a lot of things. But we need to find someplace in the middle. Or else we'll never be able to move on as a society. Which really doesn't make any sense. What really doesn't make any sense is that Islam is allied with the left, considering they want things to be way more oppressive than Christians have ever had it in the United States. I mean, we'll find out eventually if their plans come to fruition, but...
You guys have some viewership over here? No, Bill!
Not for you, we don't.
No, Cuomo! Go dunk on an 8-foot rim claiming it's 10.
Oh, come on, not that again. It was 7.5. By the way, this is the same excuse that Jake Tapper and the same people trot out over Biden was totally fine. Biden was totally fine. He didn't have any dementia or any issues with memory or any speech issues from the memory affecting him and his abilities. Nothing. We didn't know at the time.
Right.
You actively chose. Listen, I'm not a rocket scientist. Stephen is, I think, much smarter than I am and much more likely to remember every single thing that he reads on a subject than I am. It didn't take me long to figure out, wait a minute, we've known for 100 years that this isn't going to work. I'm not an expert on this.
Right.
I read a book about a guy who wrote about the pandemic for the Spanish flu that advised the Obama administration. So it's not some random guy.
They had swine flu.
And I figured it out. Not because I wanted. I had a wine business that benefited from the world being shut down. I delivered wine to people's homes. I was never busier.
Yeah.
It would have benefited me. I was like, wait, no, we're doing this the wrong way. Unless you threaten people with being shot for leaving their homes, it won't work. The U.S. military found that out during the First World War.
Yep.
And it didn't work.
They were doing the best with the information they had, guys. That's all it was. Also, at the same time, can we let in 12 to 20 million unvaxxed?
We should, yeah. They don't wear masks.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's bring them in. And you're a racist if you don't.
Yeah, we're not really concerned because they're outside.
Let them out.
Yeah. We literally, I was in a state. To give you an idea how
I mean, we're
bad
all
it
in
got
a
because
state.
of doing the best with the information that they had.
Whether it be Texas
Where
or
I
paranoia.
was maybe 20 miles from a riot in Michigan in a major city, protest, stuff being burned down, and wasn't permitted to sit on a patio with my family. That happened. That happened to the tune of millions of people. And they want us all to believe right now, like, well, they were just following the science. I was there, going back to Bill Maher. I was there at the first Tea Party. One was in South Fork Ranch, I believe is what it was called. Dallas. Michelle Malkin was there. Funny enough, what was his name? Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees? I don't know. And I watched them protest the biggest spending bills of all time and this push towards socialism under Barack Obama. Places were left cleaner than they were found. And I watched Bill Maher refer to them all as racist teabaggers. And that socialism was just code for the N-word.
That is also true.
No, you can't say now, like, we couldn't foresee this coming. That would only work if there weren't millions of people out there, like me. I'm not saying that I'm anything special. I know that you're watching, you're listening. There were millions of people out there, like you, like myself, who said this is exactly how this will unfold. This is what's coming. Either way, it would mean that people like Bill Maher and Dana Bash are idiots. Hey, do you like what you saw?
And again, it's just the old liberal in me, but I am happy to see that Bill Maher's coming around. I hope he continues to do so before he dies. And mostly just because I want to see Roseanne go on his show more often. I love Roseanne. She's been on... she had Nux on her stream. I might actually play through that whole conversation between Nux and Roseanne some weekend. Not this weekend, but maybe next weekend. This weekend, I got to take care of some storage-related things. But real quick, this is what I think every time someone says a child was killed in Palestine. I always think, where was her husband? There was another... Oh, yeah, this kind of thing. Show ID to vote. Blech. show ID to do literally everything else, including using their government-run grocery stores. Yeah, seems legit. You should have to have ID to go to a grocery store, but not to vote for people who will make you bring ID to a grocery store. This is retarded. Either it's a public-run grocery store or a government-run grocery store, and they let everyone in who needs to go in, or you just admit that you want illegals to vote in your elections. Guys, anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I love you all dearly for being here. Yanuka, Angie, I appreciate y'all coming in here and keeping the engagement up. I love having y'all's feedback. Anytime one of y'all goes silent, I think I might have died. But no, but I very much appreciate y'all being here just about every day. It means the world to me. Yanuka, I appreciate you recommending I share it with the chat. I think it caused a couple of people to pop in here for a second and be like, oh, that's what he sounds like, and then left. But anyway, the epic streamers, let's talk. Sure, bro, especially if you're in the X-Tree gang. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with another show. Until next time, this is Alfie Animus for the Associated Guest. Sign